Hello everyone and welcome back to Crypto Atlas. Unless you guys are new to the channel, then welcome. It is nice to meet you. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about Bitcoin, Orchid, and taking a look at Ethereum as well. We got a lot of news articles talking about things relating to Bitcoin, so I do want to kind of focus on that to start with. Is there something crawling on my foot there? Hope not. Anyways, and so yeah, guys, today's video, Bitcoin, Orchid, Ethereum, looking at the news, taking a look at the charts as well, doing some technical analysis on this. And if you guys haven't yet done so, it'd be greatly appreciated if you do hit the thumbs up like button. We're trying to get to 100 likes on this video, so definitely appreciated if you take some time to do that. Also, don't forget to click the bell icon. That way then you know whenever we have a new video go up, and you can stay up to date with the latest cryptocurrency news and technical analysis. Quick side note, I'm not a financial advisor, so please do not ask me directly if you should or should not invest in something. That's up to you and your decision, but hopefully this information is valuable for you. Let's get into it. Here, first up, Bitcoin plunges the most in nearly a month after its record-breaking surge past $24,200. Bitcoin plummeted as much as 6% on Monday, representing the deepest drop in the crypto asset in nearly a month. The decline comes after Bitcoin rocketed to record highs above $24,200 as adoption among institutional investors and companies like Square and PayPal increases. A reported hack at the hardware wallet firm Ledger, as well as U.S. Treasury's proposal rules that would rein in the cryptocurrency, likely weighed on investor sentiment. That's right. So in regards to Ledger, a database of personal information like email addresses, phone numbers, and home addresses for more than 270,000 Ledger customers were published on Raid forums, an online marketplace for buying, selling, and sharing hacked information, according to the block. In July, Ledger publicly disclosed that it suffered a data breach compromising that data of at least 9,500 customers. That hack over the summer is likely the source of the much larger data breach, Ledger said in a tweet. The hack of personal data for Ledger users is likely resurfacing painful memories of crypto hacks over the years that have resulted in owners losing actual Bitcoin, and serves as a reminder that crypto assets still operate in a Wild West-like environment with little to no regulation. Quite concerning, for sure. That's some negative news. Let's go and talk about some good news. Global equity head at Jefferies says the investment bank will buy Bitcoin and reduce exposure to gold. Christopher Wood, the global head of equity at Jefferies, a global financial services company, says the firm will reduce exposure to gold in favor of Bitcoin. He adds that there are plans to increase the crypto component of Jefferies' long-only global portfolio for US dollar-denominated pension fund if and when the Bitcoin price drops from current levels. As a result of this decision, 5% of the fund will now consist of Bitcoin. Before making the decision, Jefferies allocated funds as follows: 50% towards, now 45%, physical gold bullion, 30% to Asia ex-Japan equities, and 20% to unhedged gold mining stocks. Writing in his weekly Greed and Fear note to investors, the global head of equity explains the multinational investment bank's rationale for choosing Bitcoin over gold at this stage. Wood says the 50% weight in physical gold bullion in the portfolio will be reduced for the first time in several years by 5% points with the money invested in Bitcoin. If there is a big drawdown in Bitcoin from the current level after the historic breakout above the $20,000 level, the intention will be to add to this position. Moving on, Grayscale has temporarily stopped accepting new clients in 6 crypto trusts. This isn't too surprising for some people. Let's go ahead and clarify this. I know it may sound like some bad news. It kind of is, but not as bad as you might think. Grayscale Investments LLC has temporarily stopped accepting new investors in 6 funds, including its Ethereum Trust and Bitcoin Trust funds, both gateways for institutional crypto bets. The crypto assets manager website said Monday that its Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, Ethereum Classic, Litecoin, and digital large cap fund trusts are currently unavailable for new investors. Grayscale periodically closes off its crypto trusts to so-called private placement rounds. Such action happened repeatedly to GBTC in the fourth quarter of 2019, so the Monday halting is not unusual. Even with the temporary closing to its new investors, Grayscale will still be able to obtain added capital from existing investors until it reopens again to new investors. On Monday, JP Morgan analysts wrote that a dramatic slowdown in GBTC inflows could jack up the odds of a Bitcoin retracement price correction. They're estimating 3.02%. New York-based Grayscale is owned by Digital Currency Group, the parent company of CoinDesk. CoinDesk being where this article came from. Okay. The number of Bitcoin wallets holding more than $10 million rose above $4,500 this weekend. More than 4,500 Bitcoin wallets are holding value in excess of $10 million. Data collected by the Block Research shows. The interactive graph below breaks down the number of Bitcoin wallets with a balance of more than, doesn't show X amount of dollars for different categories, ranging from those above $1,000 to more than $10 million. As the graph line indicates, Bitcoin's price push above the $20,000 market had a noticeable impact on the data. Indeed, more than 4.6 million Bitcoin wallets were holding more than $1,000 in value as of December 20th. Conversely, roughly 271,000 wallets were holding balances in excess of $100,000 of that date. It should be noted that the number of wallets does not indicate the number of coin holders, as an individual's holdings or business's holdings may be spread across many wallets. I don't know about you guys, but I don't have all of my crypto assets in one specific place. God forbid something happens, like with what's going on with Ledger, you might get burned to some degree, but it's not a complete and utter travesty loss, you know? So having a couple key points of references, making sure that you have the ability to access those things and you're not overcomplicating things yourself to the point where you forget something, now it is gone forever because of your keys or whatever, right? So there's different ways you can approach it. You got paper wallets, you got hardware wallets, software wallets, you got the exchanges, you know, lots of different things going on there. MicroStrategy purchases another 29,646 Bitcoin from funds raised via convertible debts. MicroStrategy said Monday that it had purchased an additional 29,646 Bitcoin worth about $650 million, taking its total Bitcoin purchase to more than $1 billion this year. MicroStrategy raised $650 million via senior convertible notes earlier this month, and all that amount has been utilized to buy Bitcoin. Senior convertible notes are debt securities that can be converted into shares of an issuer. While in terms of units, MicroStrategy now holds a total of 70,470 Bitcoin, purchased at an average price of about $15,964 a piece. Bitcoin is currently trading at about $22,700 at the time of writing. Fong Li, president and CFO of MicroStrategy, said the company continues to believe that Bitcoin will provide the opportunity for better returns and preserve the value of our capital over time compared to holding cash. Big statement right there. Now looking at over some news going in regards to Orchid. Okay, guys, check this out. So Orchid has launched on Huobi, okay? Huobi launches OXT, deposits are open, trading starts soon, stake Huobi tokens for OXT, mine OXT rewards. There are more details. Absolutely awesome. Got some pretty decent engagement here, 142 likes. So there's some people that definitely, this caught their attention off of that. Continuing on off of that article and going further in depth to it, that actually would be over here. Let's go ahead and start with this one. Huobi Global will launch OXT. Orchid share 950,000 Orchid by joining activities. Check this out. So they actually have a couple different campaigns listed here. They've got 3 different ones. You can deposit OXT to share 190,000 OXT. There's rules that are all identified down here. I'm going to go ahead and share the link to this in the description. So if you guys want to go check out this article in more detail, you can to find out about these rules. But so there's depositing OXT for 190,000 OXT. They're staking Huobi tokens to mine 380,000 OXT. And then the third one is you can stake OXT to mine 100,000 OXT. This is actually really cool because we've been waiting to see some things going on with staking for OXT, and now here's an actual direct relationship with one of the exchanges with Huobi. So hopefully there's going to be more instances of being able to stake with OXT, but this is a nice little start. So you got staking to mine 100,000 OXT. Okay, so I'm gonna keep that up on the side there so you guys can still see that. It says, it's official, XT is now available to buy, sell, and trade on Huobi. We look forward to helping users keep their data private with our VPN. Start trading now. And just remember, guys, that the whole VPN kind of industry space is what Orchid is starting out with, but they're looking to expand out into other industry spaces. This is their bread and butter to start with, so, you know, it is what it is for that. And then Apologies if you hear somebody in the background with that. And so then moving on to the next bit right there is this. This is actually a translation. What's really cool is that Orchid has partnered with CoinList. Details on the reward program. In this program, participants will be able to watch a learning video about Orchid on a special page of the CoinList, answer 5 questions, and receive OXT worth $5, about 520 yen. In addition to the current rewards, new tasks will be added in the future, and participants who complete the additional tasks will be able to get up to $50, about 5,180 yen of OXT. I mean, that's pretty nice. I want to get $50 more worth of OXT for free. To participate, you need a CoinList account that has gone through the KYC or a customer confirmation process. CoinList is enthusiastic. This is coming from the Orchid CEO, Dr. Stephen Waterhouse. CoinList is enthusiastic about helping early adopters gain a better understanding of digital assets. We look forward to increasing the number of people participating in Orchid's digital privacy market through this reward campaign. With hands-on products that give direct benefits to many, Orchid is unique among crypto projects. We hope that many CoinList users will be better aware of the activities to expand the program and provide Orchid's products and better digital privacy to people. So absolutely awesome. Further news going in to addition with the Huobi news right there. Now let's go ahead and go take a look at the charts right here. Again, I do apologize if you hear my roommate in the background. He's on a phone call with somebody apparently. So we take a look over here for Bitcoin. We have 2 days in a row of red. We actually see that the previous day on December 20th, it had touched up on that resistance and then had a pullback. The previous day, it had gotten pretty close to it. It was actually pretty comparable to actually what happened on December 19th, right around the $24,180 level, almost $24,200 level before it retraced back down. But 2 days of retracement back, and it actually went down pretty low at one point, got pretty close to testing this level that I had already set up, which was at the $21,635 level. I actually talked about this in the previous video yesterday. So it went down to $21,900, pretty close by comparison when you actually take a look at it on the charts. Not on it, but it got close and it was trying to test it. So that is a key level of support. It needs to try and stay above that more than likely. If it touches that zone, we could see a bounce off and have a further movement back up before it decides it wants to try and make some other major move. So now that we have 2 days of red, we could potentially start to see some green movement up once again. Some people are saying that there is demand for further correction. The more days that you have red, obviously, the more likely it is to eventually lead to a green. So we had a lot of days of consecutive greens. Don't get me wrong. Having some pullback is natural. It is expected with this. And a lot of people are calling for us to hit $25,000 before the end of the year, especially when you see some of the major institutional investors, people like maybe Tesla coming into play in the future with this. I mean, a lot of people are speculating if Elon Musk says that he's allocating some Tesla funds over towards Bitcoin, that could skyrocket this straight up to $50,000, $60,000. He just made a simple tweet out talking about Dogecoin. He just said Doge, and that shot it up, what, 20%, 25%, something like that. You know, so there's a lot of things potential that could happen, and having a big player come in and dropping funds on this can just change the whole game overnight. And you're seeing more and more of the big players coming in. So new things coming out with Bitcoin, with cryptocurrencies, and if this has a further movement up, we could see it go up to $24,700. If it has a retracement back down, the bottom level we could see is $21,600. And looking at this outside of the daily, let's go look at it on the 4-hourly chart here. 4-hourly chart is looking, as of the last 4 segments, as a pretty consolidated space. We can see it right around inside of this range right here, just like that. So approximately within this space between $23,260 and also between $22,600. It's about a $1,000 price difference right there. There was a huge sell-off that took place with this massive red candle, and then you can even see that there was another candle that dropped immediately afterwards, even further down, but it ended up correcting itself and having a massive rally. So most of the volume was that decline, and then also the recovery, and there was more recovery that took place. So a lot of buyers coming in, a lot of selling going on and some buying, but then next immediately was a push back up in that regard. So very interesting how those two are playing off. And let's go ahead and get these deleted right here. Looking at it on a 15-minute chart, just briefly. You can also see, once again, that consolidated space that I was talking about. If we expand out a little bit more wider here, you can start to see some of the pattern beginning to shift as we have a formation of what actually looks to be a bit like a symmetrical triangle. And if that was to take place, we could see it as of later today, possibly this evening on a 15-minute chart, or decides it wants to make another major rally movement. Right now, it is very close to that median zone, so it could bounce off and have a further retracement back. It could have a further continuation up, and if it does have a further continuation up, we're going to be retesting past $23,000. And then it's going to have that new evaluation from this. We have two instances here, and based on the trends, you can see that that decline that took place and the recovery in its position wasn't quite high enough here to establish a third point. So it's not the most reliable circumstance right now because we're still in untested waters. I would say the most reliable form is going to be off of the daily chart here. Just looking at it from this point of view, and we're going to have to keep an eye on it and see how things go. Let's go take a look at Ethereum next. Looking over at Ethereum the previous day. Let's go ahead and close out the Bitcoin right there. This video is going a decent amount faster than normal, which is, I think, pretty good. We're handling it pretty well today. Looking over at Ethereum, guys, you can see that the previous day was another sharp decline, and it actually tapped off of that 21 EMA. That $600 price point level had some climb back up, but overall it was quite a substantial drop. A lot of people are still calling for this to hit its all-time high back in the range of around $1,400 here. If we go ahead and zoom out on the chart quite considerably, you can see that it's been quite a while here. This is right around $1,400 back on January 13th of 2018, was it January 13th? Anyways, mid-January of 2018. So, you know, we got to try and get above this key level here, as I identified in the past. This level right here is $700. It's a nice little psychological point, and we also saw references in the past over near the shoulders for this actual decline movement that had occurred back in around May of 2018 before it had that further massive drop all the way down. And then another key level is going to be around the $836 range. If it decides that it wants to have a further drop down at this point in time, I would largely be concerned with this 21 EMA. It needs to be stable above that. Too many days consecutively, realistically 2 to 3 days as a trend pattern forms underneath, could show more bearish signs. So at $600, if it drops below that, next major level I would be looking at is, realistically, I would actually be looking at right around here. It seems like there's a lot of positions that are showing themselves in relationship here. Bounces off of these moments, off the top there, the bottoms of these sections here near the baselines right there. So that's actually around $550. So $600 key level, keep an eye out, and then $550. I mean, that actually sounds pretty reliable. We're talking about $50 increments, right? If it can get above, I would say right here, $662, as we have 2 points of instances. These wicks were pretty high by comparison. Then that shows stronger signs of a continuation up to the $700 level. Okay, now let's go ahead and finish this bad boy up looking at Orchid. So check this out, guys. I have been talking about this every day. We've been covering this every day. I think I took 1 or 2 days off, something like that. But whenever I do the videos, I talk about this, right? So looking at Orchid, you can see since the $1 decline in movement that we have hit a low, and trying to break up above has still seen some further retracements back down. This top green box is where a lot of consolidation has been going on previously. And then this lower rectangular box is where some of the most recent consolidation has taken place, right within this region zone. And so this symmetrical triangle pattern has really been showing itself as a strong sign. And by these indications, and from what I've been talking about in previous videos, these look to be like potential fake outs. Didn't say that they were guaranteed. Nothing in this stuff is guaranteed. But I said just because it dropped down below, it needs to stabilize itself with a trend pattern. And for Orchid, realistically, we need 3 days of it being a stabilized trend pattern. 2 days hasn't shown itself very well, especially in reference to the 21 EMA. There's been points where it's been 1 or 2 days and then it flips to the other side. So 3 days is the most reliable for this. And look at this wick. I mean, I actually have to zoom out on this in order to be able to show you guys just how tall this wick was. It shot all the way up right into the range for Coinbase around 36.5 cents. At one point, at its lowest point, was 25 cents. That's a huge difference. And when it closed out on the daily, you could see that there wasn't much actual gain overall by comparison from the previous day. So you could say, well, it's a pump and dump situation. Also take into account that it did launch over on Huobi, and then you've also got Bitcoin, which massively dropped again, which, by the way, I don't know if you guys have been following this or not, but it seems kind of weird and ridiculous that every time Orchid launches on one of these major exchanges, on Binance, on Huobi, on a lot of these ones, all of a sudden it starts to tank a ton, because also at the same time, Bitcoin and almost every other cryptocurrency, Ethereum, all these other ones, they're all dropping at the same time. So just when it looks like you got a good opportunity to get some extra exposure, to get some momentum, to rally itself, to stabilize itself at a stronger point in time, you get slapped in the face because the whole industry is now suffering, coincidentally, right at the same time. So I don't know if it's some weird, like, outside sign people are actually using Orchid as an indicator for this, but I do find it extremely bizarre that this has been happening so much in reference with this. Now, in the symmetrical triangle pattern, it did pull back in. It closed still within inside that pattern, but there's no other point based on this trend pattern that I've shown before, and I've kept it within this space. Everything's been pulling back in, kind of coming down a little bit, but then it comes back in, and it closed almost near the dead center of this actual zone, right? It's just slightly above. Now, the good news is that the new daily opening candle is on the top side of this median zone, right? It is above the level of resistance, which is showing indication signs of a more likely bull rally to take place, right? It can still have a potential reversal, but I would expect today for there to be high volatility. I could potentially be wrong. One thing that I am a little bit concerned about is that these tops of these wicks might have a new formation and have extended out the potential pattern for this. That is something that might have taken place with this, but you know, I would say today there's a high likelihood. Let's just say if it doesn't happen and it decides it wants to move sideways, how these other formations could potentially play out. Let's go and take a look at that right now. So we're going to keep off that top zone, and by looking at this seems like a much more adequate base position. We have a lot of these zones that are showing in comparison. Yeah, right about here. So by doing so, that could put it up to December 30th, up to the new year. I would not really expect this. I think there's much more strength in the previous trend that I just showed you guys, primarily for the reason that these wicks are those wild card factors, and to use all of them as a reliable point, I don't feel as adequate, but this is a potential scenario to take place. So more likely to have some high volatility take place today, hopefully on the top side rather than the bottom side. If you do use a reference point like this, let's just say for namesake, then a level of resistance is going to be set up at 0.2856, a little bit over 28.5 cents, and a bottom zone at 0.2480. And that 21 EMA, which is above right now, that's a key level of support. It needs to break above, stay above. It's already above right now. It needs to stay above that at 0.2674. If it can close out above that, starting to show bullish signs, even more strongly validated. But we need 3 of those instances. If it doesn't do that, it could have a fake out and do a reversal. But as I mentioned before, multiple times now, the volatility for something like this, I think, is pretty likely to happen today. We'll have to see. Moving the chart pattern around in this formation, you guys can clearly see that there's potential more of a delay to take place, but I think that it's more likely to happen today. And in this little consolidated zone, we still got to get above this first zone. So that level is actually at 0.2762. If it can break above that and then it enters in this consolidated space, it really needs to break above 0.3230 as we've seen in these instances, but close above like we saw back on November 24th, and then actually hold that position. Let's get into the Fibonacci retracement zone above the 0.382 and ideally above the 0.5. Let's get over halfway and going on that run, pushing back towards trying to hit that dollar zone. If we can break above $1, then we got a new all-time high. Looking at the actual circulating supply for something like this, keep in mind, guys, that it's about the same as that of Chainlink. And Chainlink had hit earlier in the year almost $20. In the VPN space, Orchid fits in really well with that. The fact that they could have the potential of the other markets, there's so much potential for something like this. And I think $1 really is restrictive of its long-term potential. Short-term, it's hard to say, especially as you have new regulations that are kind of coming out about things with privacy coins, not necessarily VPNs, but privacy coins like Monero, where you're trying to be able to exchange money and trade it without being identified who you are. So it's just kind of that idea of privacy that some people are a little bit concerned with how that space is going to evolve. I think VPNs should still be totally fine, but you never know with these kinds of things. And so it's still the Wild West like they talk about, and things can happen. You got to be cautious and be concerned, and golden rule, never invest more than what you're willing to lose. I'm excited for this. I think it's got a ton of potential. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think that my first pattern is more likely to take place and today is where we're going to see the high levels of volume, or do you think it's going to more likely drag out sideways all the way over here to December 30th? Are you looking for more of a correction down? What do you think the bottom is? What do you guys think the top is? I think before New Year, us pushing above 50 cents is something that feels pretty realistic. So we've got about a week and a half left until the new year, and if this rally decides it wants to make a run, I think that hitting in the 50-cent range and being above that before New Year seems very plausible. Otherwise, before the new year, if we go all the way down sideways like this, it's going to be right around the 25-cent range again. So it's essentially doing this stable coin format that we saw happen quite a bit over here in the past. You could see this whole range of zone was between 15 cents and about 21 cents, and that happened for a long time. That was from March 11th all the way through to right around August, early August. Anyways, that's going to go and do it for the video, guys. Once again, if you're new to the channel, please don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button. We are trying to get to 100 likes on this video. Every like helps us in the search and discoverability. If you like this news, other people will potentially like it as well, and it helps them to be aware of what we got going on. Help strengthen our community. Leave a comment down below and click the bell icon so you know whenever we have a new video and you can stay up to date with everything. And thank you guys so much. I will see you in the next episode.